Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I'm here to talk about books. This is the start of my Summerween vlog for 2025. I do participate in these readathons hosted by Gabby Reads every year, and this year I just get to film it because I started BookTube. If you guys aren't aware, Summerween is a readathon that's hosted by Gabby Reads that's here on YouTube. She usually does one in the summer and then one in the winter, which is called Winterween, and it's pretty much just bringing the spooky vibes to the different seasons of the year. So that is the whole purpose of this readathon. This year it is hosted between July 5th through the 12th, and it is just an extra day longer than usual. It's usually just a week, but she added an extra day this year, which by all means. With every Winterween, Summerween readathon, she always has prompts for you to choose your TBR from. And this is the list of prompts for this year's Summerween. She has said in the past that you can double up on your prompts. So you can read one book and have it cover multiple prompts if you want to, whatever is easiest or fits your schedule. So I'll just go through the TBR that I have picked out with you guys and talk about kind of what I'm reading. So usually I do pick 5 books, one for each prompt, but this year is the first year that I will be doubling up. So one of the staple ones, which is number 1, is to read a book in the dark or at night. And as somebody who primarily reads before they go to bed, I always read in the dark and at night. As far as the rest of the TBR goes, number 2 is to read a horror or a thriller book. And for that, I have chosen Maeve by CJ Lead. So I am going to be reading this one, which is a horror. And I don't know a ton about this book besides like what it says on the back. This one will be my horror pick for prompt number 2. Number 3 is to read a book with a sky on the cover. And for this one, I've chosen Nestlings by Nat Cassidy because he only has 4 books out. I've read 2 of them so far. So I'm trying to make it through the rest of them. This one I am a little bit, just a teensy bit nervous for because I read Mary and Rest Stop and I loved Mary. I gave that one, I think like 4 stars, and then Rest Stop, I hated it, 1.5 stars. So quite the diverse opinion there on the 2 books that I have read from Nat Cassidy. But I still have high hopes for Nestlings because I've heard that people really love this book. So I'm still gonna give it a try. I don't know if it's paranormal or like what the case is. For the most part, I do enjoy going into books blind. So yeah, that one, I just know it has to do with like a married couple who moved to a new place with their new baby and spooky stuff starts happening. So I'm thinking like Rosemary's Baby possibly. Number 4 is to read a book that you've owned for more than a year. So for that one, I picked When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. And I have owned this book, I think 2 years or something. It's definitely been over a year. I've had it for a while. I love to pick short books for these readathons just because it makes it easier for me to actually achieve the prompts within the time allotted. So yeah, this one is going to be my book that I've owned for more than a year. So all I know is that this character is a white character who is made fun of for having black friends, and she's moved far away from her town to get away from like all of the issues that were there. One of her friends is getting married, and I think it's back in her old town, but it's on a plantation that is rumored to be like haunted and things like that. And a lot of spooky things happen. So this one is giving me like the movie Get Out. That's kind of how I'm feeling about this, and that's kind of what my expectations are going into this book. And then the 5th prompt is to read a novella, manga, or spooky audiobook. And I picked a novella for this book. I don't really read manga. And if I am in the middle of doing things and I need to pick up an audiobook, I'll listen to an audiobook of any of these. So yeah, and that is Below by Laurel Hightower. And this is my second book that I've read from Laurel Hightower. The other one that I read was Crossroads, and I gave that book 5 stars. I loved it. This is another one that I know a lot of people really like from her, so I did purchase it, and I'm really excited to get into it. So I think starting off, I'm just going to get my novella out of the way, so I'll read below, and then after I'm finished with this one, I might pick up When the Reckoning Comes, or I might pick up Maeve. I'm not quite sure. Below by Laurel Hightower, I am going to get into first. Also, I'm wearing my Summerween merch. Let me lower you guys down. Every readathon, she comes out with merch, and this is the one for this year that I picked. There's several options, but this is just the one that I liked the most. And this like blue gray tie-dye, I was obsessed with it. So I'm all summer weaned out today. We needed some caffeine up in here, so I got an energy drink from Black Rock. This is the strawberry dragon fruit, I think. And then a blueberry scone. So I just finished Below by Laurel Hightower, and I think I'm going to rate it 3.5 stars. There was a lot that I really did like about it. Like, there was a lot of imagery that was really good, things that were going on that I was like, oh my god, these twists and these turns, I'm loving it. But it did not hold up to being like a 5-star read. The ending of it kind of just felt not really what I wanted or was expecting. There were things that we didn't really get explanations for. I felt like, you know, there was a creature feature thing going on, which isn't really my thing, but it was done well. And then there was like a whole nother really creepy thing going on that was really capturing my attention. But yeah, it was okay. I liked it. It was a fun little short read. So yeah, that was that one. I think next I'm going to start on Maeve because this is one that I'm definitely looking forward to, and that's been piquing my interest since I've purchased it. So this will be my next read, and I'm probably just gonna go to bed and I'll update you guys in the morning. We are not off to a good start. We still don't have any coffee in this house. We are going to the grocery store today, and I need to do laundry today as well, but I am drinking a Red Bull for my caffeine again today because no coffee. But I committed a crime. I should be put in book jail because I started on Maeve last night, and I had this on my nightstand. I spilled some water and it got on the book. I just got done blow drying, and I guess I need to blow dry it just a little bit more because the end is still kind of wet. I got the front pretty dry, but I'm very upset. My husband was like, I'll just buy you a new copy of the book. And I was like, no, it's the concept. You don't understand. Like, this is a crime. This book though, let me just tell you guys what it's about. This follows a character whose name is Maeve, and she works at an amusement park that is not named, but you can guess by the setting being in Los Angeles and it being a very kid-friendly amusement park and there's characters dressed up, she works as a princess, an ice princess, and she has also her best friend named Kate who works as her princess sister. So given that information, I'm sure that you guys can conclude what amusement park this character works in. So not only does she work in the amusement park, but she's also not a very good person. She seems to have some kind of cocaine addiction, her and her best friend Kate, and they go and do coke on their breaks, smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol. They go to strip clubs after work, and then they come back, dress up in their cute little princess attire, and hang out with these kids. We also have two other, I think, important characters being introduced, one of which is her grandmother who's in a coma, and she is like coming to terms with the fact that she's going to be losing her grandmother soon. And then she also is meeting Kate's brother, whose name is Gideon, and they seem to not like each other very much, or she doesn't like him and doesn't want anything to do with him, but he's trying to talk to her. So yeah, those are the characters that we have so far. Of course, there's a bunch of side characters like her other co-workers, her boss, stuff like that. So there's other characters also, but those seem to be like the main ones. And she has this very dark desire to want to murder people, and she talks about it a lot. She'll be having like a normal interaction with somebody, and all of a sudden she's like thinking about murdering them or being like in a threesome with Kate. It's so strange. So yeah, she's got a lot of very intrusive thoughts, and she's not the most likable character. She's definitely morally gray. At this point in the book, which I am about 71 pages, this is chapter 11 that I'm going to be starting here soon. So far, it seems like feminine rage mixed with erotic horror. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see how I feel about it. It's definitely different, I'll say that. So yeah, I'm going to drink my Red Bull. I need to put some laundry in, and I'm probably going to see if I can get this audiobook. I think it's on Spotify, so if so, that is what will be happening. Can I film, please? Hey guys, it is nearing the end of Sunday, day 2 of Summerween, and I have just been trekking along in Maeve Fly by CJ Lead all day between reading the physical and reading the audiobook. And this book is weird. It is weird. I don't know. I knew it was gonna be something different for sure. The tone of this book alone is what is taking me so long to read it, because the tone flip-flops so much. I've seen a lot of people say that this book is like American Psycho but for the girlies, and I can definitely see where that comparison is coming from, because this character does remind me a lot of Patrick Bateman in the fact that she like watches a lot of pornography in her free time, and she fantasizes about murdering people during a simple like day-to-day interaction with somebody. She thinks that she's better than everyone else. She has this kind of like inflated ego about herself, but at the same time she has a very hard time connecting with anyone, even though that's what she craves. There's some things about it that feel kind of cartoonish, and then there's some things about it that feel like American Psycho, and having like a lot of horror and random really gruesome scenes or like intrusive thoughts from this character. And then we also have this weird bit of like erotic horror where it talks about sexual activities in explicit detail, about things that might be like fetishized by some people, but they're really weird and uncomfortable for most. So yeah, this tone is just like all over the place, and I really don't know how I feel about this book, and I am over halfway through it. I have considered DNFing it, but I think I'm just going to keep trying to read it throughout the vlog and see what happens, because I know that I've seen a lot of really good reviews on this book. I have not seen very many negative reviews on it, but I am definitely struggling to connect with these characters and this storyline, and I'm forgetting plot points that are happening because they get overshadowed by other things that are happening, where I just feel like there's too much, especially with it not being a dual timeline or anything like that. Like, this is all happening in present day, and this character's life is just extreme chaos, and everything that's going on in her head is wild. So yeah, those are what my thoughts are on Maeve Fly by CJ Lead currently, and I hope that I don't have to DNF it. I hope that it does start picking up for me soon, even though there's so much going on in this story. So I can't say it's boring, and the writing is really good. Like, the descriptions and some of the quotes are really beautiful. I think for the rest of the night, I'm probably going to try to get through this, possibly DNF it and pick up something else. But regardless of what happens, I will have an update for you guys in the morning. I am on my lunch break, and this morning I did finish my damaged book, which isn't looking so bad now. It's still floppy, but I finished Mayfly by CJ Lead, and I think I'm gonna have to give this one 2.5 stars. That's so sad. I am so upset about that. But it really was not doing it for me. There was way too many things going on, and like, I kind of, after the fact now, you know, like, I kind of can put things together and understand why there were certain parts that were included, but I just felt like it was very excessive. I'm not gonna say it wasn't worth the read, because it was. I did like enjoy certain parts of it, but my enjoyment level throughout the entirety of the book was not there. I was really hoping that it was going to get better. I'm glad I didn't DNF it, because I would have continued trying to pick this one up again and again, just like my experience was with Bunny by Mona Awad. I was getting the same feeling about this, and I was like, okay, if I'm not gonna finish it now, then I'm not going to do that again, because I've also noticed that when looking at other people's reviews, a lot of the people that I'm seeing who really like this book also really liked Bunny. So maybe it's like a thing in here that explains why this is not a book for me, because that one wasn't a book for me. So yeah, if it's your thing, I'm not gonna yuck your yum. I'm not gonna say that it's like a horrible book, because it's not, but I don't think that I am the audience that is meant to read this book, unfortunately. I'm not saying that I won't pick up another CJ Lead in the future. If something does catch my eye, I might, because I know that this is a debut novel. So I'm not going to write her off, but I don't think this one was my thing. I feel like starting When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. I am on my break right now at work, so I'll probably start this one right now. And then once that I get like a decent of the way through it, probably later tonight or tomorrow, then I will check back in. So day 4 of Summerween is starting out to be very relaxing. It's been a very good start to the day. Between last night and this morning, I have gotten to page 107 of When the Reckoning Comes, which is about halfway. It was more like Get Out than I expected. I didn't read the back. I don't like reading the back of the books. But when I was recalling what this book was about, I knew it had to do with like slavery and racism. But I had the roles reversed. So the main character that we're reading from is named Mira, and she is Black. And then her best friends were Jessie and Celine. Celine is white, and then Jessie's Black. She had a crush on Jessie. There's like a budding romance going on there, but it obviously nothing happened of it when they were kids because she moved away. And then she has her best friend Celine, who is white, and Celine is the one that's getting married. Mira has made a life for herself outside of their hometown. She moved away. She ended up becoming a teacher. And she gets a phone call from Celine saying, hey, I'm getting married. I would like you to come to my wedding. And even though Mira doesn't really want to go back to her hometown, she does because she wants to see her best friend. And she also is thinking Jessie might be there and she might be able to finally connect with her childhood crush, love person. This wedding is taking place on a plantation that was remodeled, and it's now kind of like a tourist attraction, like a museum. They have like a lot of historical aspects to it, and it's supposed to be like a theme, but the character is a little bit, sketched out by it because all of the employees that work here, like the service people, the people who cook, the people who do the laundry, they're all Black people. And all of the other people who they're like doting on and taking care of are all white people. So she's like, oh, I'm gonna stick out like a freaking sore thumb here because this is like some museum resort place and I'm not white. And I'm probably gonna be the only Black person at this wedding if Jessie's not there. So yeah, she's not too happy about it, but she's doing it. This plantation is rumored to be haunted by some of the slave workers that were there. And there's also like a graveyard on the site that has a lot of the like ancestors and stuff. There's already been a little bit of like creepiness, voices, apparitions, stuff like that this character is seeing, and it's definitely chilling. I am liking this a lot so far. I really hope that it holds up. I am halfway through and I feel like we're kind of getting a lot of the setting built up and stuff, which I do really like that. it's setting the mood for the rest of the story for sure. And coming from reading Maeve, which had so many different tones and so many different things happening, I'm actually really enjoying this straightforward, one tone, like, this is what's happening, we're gonna find out the truth. And then we also are getting flashbacks too of their childhood and some things that they did when they were kids, like some of the rebellious stuff that they used to get into, and how mean people were to Celine for being friends with Black kids. I have high hopes for the rest of this story. I am about to clock into work and get started for the day, so I'll see how much reading I can get done throughout my work day. And of course, you guys will get an update once that I have one.
It's daylight. Let's go.
I'm in my office right now because I'm on my lunch break from work, and I don't feel like turning the lights on, so we just have this little ring light over here. This morning I finished When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. It served on the spooky, haunted, eerie atmosphere that I was expecting out of it, and it was actually the perfect book to read for Summerween. It takes place in like Southern America. It's in the summer, it's really hot, there's a river nearby, and it also has like a lot of tension, racial tension and things between the characters in this story, and it fits perfectly in the setting that the author wrote it for. It's very like, what is the word? Southern Gothic type of book. So yeah, reading from Mira's point of view, being that she is a young Black woman, is very effective because you can pick up on a lot of the uneasiness and how uncomfortable it is for her to be there, given like her hometown's history and in general at this plantation, which is such a weird place to have a wedding, but I feel like that's the point that this author was trying to make, given that the people who are getting married and a majority of the wedding guests are all white people, and Mira and Jesse, which are two of their friends from when they were younger, are some of the only people of color here that are guests aside from the workers and stuff. The town is still very much segregated, and the people of color are treated so poorly here, which at this resort, it kind of serves as like the theme for it being like this remodeled plantation. They're trying to play on the original history of the building, which is just so creepy and weird. It's truly sickening to read those parts of this book, and I feel like this author does a really good job at highlighting how modern society romanticizes slavery, and that we will take places like this fictional place in this book and turn it into something for entertainment value so that they can make a profit off of it, and really like mock the suffering that these people who were slaves back in the day had endured. At one point, I don't think this is a spoiler because it happens pretty early on in the book, a little kid comes up to her that's like there at the looking at the museum stuff. He comes up to her and he's like, "What part are you playing?" And that just kind of put into perspective like, oh my god, how uncomfortable and unfortunate is it that like your children are going to assume anyone who's there that's Black is playing this role and like being a slave, and like that's just so sad. It's kind of true to like how society is still to this day, even though these things transpired and we should have learned so much by now, and that people are people regardless of the color of their skin. And then you get these like flashback chapters because there's you know, rumors of this plantation being haunted. So you get these flashback chapters and these little bits between chapters talking about like how like some of the slaves from their perspectives, how they felt being torn away from their families, and like the torture that they were enduring, and you know, all this really gruesome, upsetting stuff. So you do see that. And as somebody who reads a lot of horror, if you're like me and you kind of feel like you're desensitized to a lot of the horror that's out there, this one still delivers on that front. There are some pretty gruesome scenes that I feel like if I read that in a different book, it may not have been as effective as it was in this one. This is not only storytelling, but these are events that are backed by history, and that you know at some point in some time somebody probably had these same exact thoughts and these same exact feelings, the same experience of what you're reading, that it most likely did happen to somebody, if not multiple people. The concept of those horror scenes is what really got to me. It takes this horror that I'm kind of used to reading in a lot of different books, and it puts a different lens on it. You know, when you're reading a different book and something really horrific is happening, a lot of the time you're like, this is fiction and these aren't real people, this isn't a real character. So it makes it a little bit different to know, even though these characters in this book are not real, the events that are happening and the things that these people are experiencing are very real experiences. And that's what makes it so sad and like so horrific to me. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I don't feel like the word enjoy is really the correct term to use, because like it's horror and it really did affect me, but I would say I appreciated this story, and I appreciated the way that it made me think and feel, and that it also came from a horror setting, which is usually what captures my interest. I think that one is so far the best one that I've read out of this readathon. So I'm clocking back into work, and tonight I'm gonna be starting on Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. I can say that this is the book that I'm most nervous for out of all of the ones on this list. Like, I want to read it so bad, and I have been, but I think I've just been putting it off because of me not really liking Rest Stop but loving Mary, and I'm hoping that it's going to be like Mary or even better. So yeah, I will be starting that one tonight, and I can't wait to give you guys an update on how I feel. I started on Nestlings last night, and I got about 70 pages into this book, and I am loving it so far. I am loving it, and I'm so hopeful because it's really like making me excited that this is going to be another good book by Nat Cassidy, and that I'm not going to have to write him off. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to read more of this book. I'm actually, I just got ready because I'm working in office today, and I am going to be reading as much as I can before I have to leave for work. And then I might see, because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go the majority of my day without reading this. So I think I'm going to check if I can get the audiobook from somewhere. I know I'm out of Spotify listening hours because I spent it on Maeve, but I think I might be able to find it on Libby, or it's been so long since I've used Audible that they keep sending me like codes and stuff to get free trials again, and I might take it just to listen to Nestlings, but then I'm gonna have to set a reminder on my phone to cancel when I'm finished with this book because I am not starting up on Audible again. It's waste of money. So we have this couple whose names are Reed, the husband, and Anna, who is the wife, and then they have their baby Charlie. They have been just down on their luck. They have not been doing good at all, and even like to make things worse, during the childbirth of their newborn child Charlie, Anna got injured, and it was like a really horrific childbirth experience. So she's actually in a wheelchair, and as like a, you know, funny haha joke, they had applied for this affordable housing lottery thing, and they were awarded an apartment that's in like this really nice building. I think it was in Boston or some kind of like city area, but they move in there because they have like 7 days to move in before they move on to the next person. And so they're like, all right, like, let's not think too much about it. Let's just go and move in. Like, we need this. We need a break. So they did that. One of the things that I do like is that this main protagonist, Anna, works as a audiobook narrator, which is not something that you really see as a profession in a lot of books. So that what I find really interesting. But during the move, her little booth that she records in got damaged, and since she lives in this like really busy city area, it's constant noise and like honking and cars and people, and then of course she has a baby, so there's like no chance that she can work. And she's suffering from postpartum depression. She's having a lot of resentment for her baby because she already, like, women are already predisposed to postpartum depression as it is, but she's also been left injured and in a wheelchair, which makes it like 10 times worse for her. So she's stuck in this apartment, this new place. Things are unfamiliar to her. She can't do anything but stay home and take care of this baby. And like, she can't work, she can't do anything, and she's feeling resentful towards her child. So not sounding good for this baby. Knowing this is a horror book, I kind of have like some ideas of where this might go, and I think it might get pretty dark, so we shall see. Something really crazy and interesting just happened in this apartment complex too that had me like, oh my god, what is going on here? I started reading it after I got off work last night, and I read it until I was so tired I couldn't read anymore. And that was right after this like really crazy thing just happened. So I have been itching all morning to pick it back up. And that's why I'm ready for work early now, so that I can like sit here and read until the very last minute. And here comes my reading buddy, because she knows I'm gonna read, and I'm gonna set an alarm for when I have to stop reading, because I have a feeling that I'm going to lose track of time if I don't. Oh man, what a long day, but I am home now. I've actually been home for a little while, but I have been so like sucked in to this book that I've actually had to finish it. So like all day today, when I could, I was listening to it on audiobook because it was on Audible. Now I have to cancel my free trial again. But I got it on Audible because I just like could not stop reading it, and I was not going to wait until the end of my workday to continue reading. So I listened to it as much as I could throughout my workday, And then when I came home, I finished it on my Kindle. Before I tell you guys what my actual thoughts are on this book though, I do want to just start off by saying that there are trigger warnings in this book that you need to be aware of. The author has his own trigger warnings in the beginning. I can't remember exactly what they are, but like right when you start the book, he has trigger warnings. But I definitely think that you need to be aware if you're going into this book and trigger warnings are something that you like to look into, that you know it takes place after the pandemic. So there's definitely talk about the pandemic in this book and, you know, quarantine and stuff like that. And then there's also trigger warning for postpartum depression, big time, and suicidal ideation. So definitely look into those if that's something that you're sensitive to. But with that being said, one of my constant thoughts throughout the entirety of this book, and this is not like a spoiler in my opinion or anything like that, but I freaking hated Reed so much. The husband in this story, I could not stand him. He was the most selfish, arrogant piece of crap I have ever read. It's been a really long time since I've had a character in a book actually make me feel that way, where I like hate them and like they're having a bad day or something's happening to them. I'm like, fuck you, good, you deserve that. That's how I felt about Reed. And like one of the really big issues that I had with him is that, as you guys can see on the back of the book, like his wife is really struggling with postpartum depression, and she has this disability from her very traumatic birth, and she's having all of these like mental health issues. She's literally crying out for help, and he knows these things, and yet he's like, oh, I'm just gonna go disappear and leave my wife at home with this baby and like not be bothered and, you know, not communicate. I hated him so much. Like, he was such a piece of shit. So yeah, I felt very strongly about that throughout this whole book. There's one part in particular that I'm thinking of right now where like he's out and about and he's like, oh, maybe I should go home to my wife because our daughter's 1-year birthday party's coming up, and like if anything I could be helping her plan that right now. And then next thing you know, he's like, oh, you know, I still stayed out for a couple hours and I'm sitting here at a park bench drinking a hot chocolate. Like, huh? I hated him. Another thing which I actually found to be really cute, and every time that it popped up I was like, oh, that's so adorable, is, and that's not the type of book that this is supposed to be, but I loved that they called their baby bird. I thought that was so cute. And like the cooing and the noises that she's made, they will be like, oh, she's chirping, and she's like making her happy little chirping sounds. I thought that part of it, like calling her baby bird and little bird, stuff like that, was just, it was really cute. It was just this fun little added thing that like gave the baby some personality, and I really liked that. I think my final rating for this one is going to be 4 stars. It wasn't a perfect book in my opinion, but I definitely really liked it, and I rated it the same as Mary, so that's good. 4 stars is a pretty good rating. I'm very happy. For the most part, this was actually really good TBR, and I had a fantastic time. Now that I've completed my TBR, I'm not too sure what I want to do tomorrow, and then we still have one more day of Summerween, but that was like an extra add-on day, so I'll still probably do something tomorrow, and it's not going to be a book. I'm not going to read another book tomorrow, but I think I want to do something Summerween related, and that I will just have to figure out in the morning because the girl is tired and it's time to go to bed. So I'll talk to you guys in the morning. Okay, so Gabby does make some little bingo boards to use for her Summerween and Winterweens. So I thought it would be really fun to look at the bingo board and see if I got anything. She has them on her This Is Summerween Instagram, so I'll go ahead and pop that up here if you guys are interested in following that. And then she does have a bingo board and the little highlights, so we'll just go ahead and look at that. Just at first glance, I'm seeing that I actually did quite a few of these. Read a book in the dark, we did that. That was actually a prompt. That was one that I did for all of them pretty much. Watch a scary movie. I actually watched 2 scary movies this week. With my husband, we watched The Woman in the Yard, and then Jazz came over last night and we watched The Ruins, which is from the 2000s. So yeah, 2 scary movies. Read a book with 6 words in the title. So I only read what was on my TBR this week, so not that one. I did not read a book that takes place in the desert. I did read a thriller or horror book. I read horror books. That was all that was on my TBR this week. Bake a fall-inspired treat. I wanted to do this just for the heck of it, but I didn't end up doing that one. So that one's a bummer. Listen to a Halloween playlist. Yeah, I actually did. So on Sunday, Jazz came over and I did her hair, and then we had like a girls' night reading and we put on some spooky ambiance. So I did listen to a Halloween playlist. Read a book outside. No ma'am. I live in Arizona. It is July. I'm not spending any time outside. So not that one. Read a book with a night sky on the cover. Nestlings has a night sky on the cover. So we only got 1 bingo, and it's the diagonal one, which is read a book in the dark, read a thriller or horror book, and read a book with a night sky on the cover. So I did get bingo. I didn't try, but I got it. So yeah, that is the end of my Summerween vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I had a ton of fun with this vlog for sure, and I cannot wait to film my other Ween readathon vlogs. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye!